My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system, which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
Erica Lorraine Spencer here. The following is an audio version of video evidence that is captured for purposes of mass distribution, which is why I am capturing it and sharing it on the podcast for evidentiary purposes and also to reveal the wealth of documentation that extends beyond what it is that I document on podcasts. Much of the video and images will be published onto the YouTube channel, the P.O.C, and it is also shared on the Google Drive. Again, this is for purposes of revealing what I remain subject to, which is federal group stalking and monitoring. It is a demonic system of state surveillance that the government is practicing in concert with the people of the state, and it should be known and well understood that for the government to engage in federal group stalking and monitoring, this is a crime that is committed with a criminal purpose to threaten the life of an American citizen. This is to conspire to murder and or permanently kidnap an American citizen while engaging in a perpetual sex offense in concert with the people of the state. That is indeed a witch who is walking out of the apartment monitoring and doing so, and that's engineer light, and that was orange colored engineer light that appeared above the door. That's the same engineer light that you saw after 9 o'clock when I'm capturing the fake sun that is in alignment to the same apartment building on the east side of this apartment door. It is currently 7:22 a.m. where Tracy Banks is engaged in gang stalking with the demons of Unit 56 using her dogs. It's audible activity. Monitoring while the witch walks around. This is audible activity creation under the fake sun that's still here at 9 o'clock. Remember, at 9 o'clock, it's here. This is P.O.C. monitoring. She's going to prison. This is audible activity while the neighbors are gang stalking together. That's P.O.C. Same pattern of conduct. Crossing path under the fake sun. And this has nothing to do with the engineer light where they're monitoring together. The engineer light is on the inside of the apartment, and the fake sun is outside of the apartment. This demon that's rushing by and walking upstairs is gang stalking together. These are the demons that don't sleep. That's Unit 56. Using the dogs as audible activity, gang stalking with Tracy. These are demons that are acting in concert together. These are the demons that create, amplify. You hear how there was no sound when that demon walked upstairs, but inside of the apartment, I'm documenting amplified audible activity on an ongoing basis. Nobody's leaving any potholes. Nobody's causing any earthquakes when I'm looking at them walking upstairs, and in the same way inside of their apartments, they are not capable of creating amplified noise such as earthquake-like, like they're have the bowling alleys inside of their apartment, like they're cracking the walls and the ceilings when they're walking around. That's called amplified noise, and these are demons as clearly as you see this fake sun. This is called pacing when you walk right back downstairs. That's the pattern of conduct under the fake sun, which you know is still here, while Unit 41 is doing the same thing that this demon is doing. The different face, same conduct, same sidewalk where the fake sun's on this side of the building after 5 p.m. like you saw when the demons are doing this, stalking in the path, when my panties are down in the bathroom, and they're stalking in the path by sitting on the sidewalk where the fake sun is still here, monitoring like the demons are doing together. That's license 9LQA218. Gang stalking with Tracy Banks, and they're in concert. You can have anybody coming onto the grounds, making a delivery, flying over in helicopter, coming onto the grounds, engaging in landscaping, living inside of the apartment units themselves that are acting in concert with Tracy, who's already monitoring and knows that I'm documenting her. Another demon is maintaining presence in the path as they anticipate getting documented. This is what the teamwork of demon possession, the teamwork of gang stalking entails. And this is also known, The fake sun is also rising through my apartment in Los Angeles. That's how you know that that's a state actor, not a private citizen. That's how you know that it's deliberate maintenance of elements of monitoring and not coincidental conduct in a specific environment that's supernatural, where the sun is still here, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock. It's still here over the same building. As you saw Ontario PD gang stalking at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Remember that on April 8, 2025? The fake sun is still right here while I'm right here on this sidewalk, where the use of a dog is audible activity, where walking the dog is the form for relevant positioning, in the same location where the sun is over the same exact apartment complex, where, by the way, the Ontario Police is engaged in 24-hour surveillance with the gang stalkers who reside at the venue. The venue is a recognition of that P.O.C. And this fake sun has nothing to do with the orange-colored engineer light. That is, again, the unpersuasive and unintelligent. This is shade here. Sunlight is not manifesting out of the shade, but also engaging in the gymnastics where it's on the wall behind the door. This is not sunlight. This is engineered light. And those are demons that just engaged in the iteration of the P.O.C. with Tracy Banks. And this is also not outside of my living room window, where the sun is documented rising on an ongoing basis, daily basis, as I documented the pattern of conduct that I'm subject to in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado, apartment number 6, on the 3rd floor, facing the hillside, the same hillside where the where the Los Angeles Police Department are gang stalking by pacing in helicopter for 47 minutes, where sunlight is not covering that hillside where they engaged in that on April 15, 2024. Same time of year analysis where the fake sun was rising and setting. This is the pattern of conduct here. And the demons at Unit 56 are also engaging in that P.O.C. with Tracy as she walks out in engineered light and maintaining presence by pacing up and down the stairs, getting in a vehicle as a means of activity creation. All of that was the iteration of the P.O.C., which is an ongoing collective effort. Okay, that's the pattern of conduct by the entity. That is 7:26 a.m. This is where the fake sun is also setting after 6 p.m. The demon in Unit 56 is indeed going to federal prison. She's gang stalking by residents, as are everybody is in these two buildings right here, where you're looking at the elements of monitoring. Okay, the entity is gang stalking in the same manner. When amplified train is underway, the demons just used a barking dog. It's demonic activity. It's activity creation, and none of this is sunlight. Okay, this is all the illusion where demons are engaging in monitoring. Monitoring is not only going to be prosecuted as a sex offense that it is, it's inhumane and it's for purposes of psychological torture. All right, it is currently 7:26 a.m. This is the documentation of who are indeed demons, who are indeed sex offenders gang stalking on a 24-hour basis on behalf of the state, and in concert with the demon that is Tracy Banks, pacing as an entire neighborhood, driving under the fake sun on video after 2 o'clock at 5 p.m., where the same fake sun remains for purposes of this very activity, which is stalking in the path, driving in engineered light, chiefly using aircraft, on foot, and in vehicles. Okay, the POC is they are amongst what is engineered light underneath that carport. As they drive in engineered light, they create light activity. The vehicle is a form of light activity, and they're literally driving in the engineered light. This is monitoring. And they're not driving in any sunlight where the sun is at the same time outside of my living room window in Los Angeles. That's how you know that that's a state actor. The purposes of this environment is to create an illusion that this is the sun that will be here 11 hours from now, and that this is all sunlight while you're seeing that sun here. This is where a population is indeed gang stalking, and they're also monitoring my genitalia along with these sex offenders at this apartment complex on an ongoing basis throughout the day with Tracy Banks. Okay, this is POC license. Excuse me, it's 7:28 a.m. and again, the entity is gang stalking with the license plate that I recited, gang stalking with the unit number 56, and there is nobody that's creating earthquakes when you're walking around inside of your apartments, in the same way that you can see the very natural conduct of what's not creating any disruption while they're walking up and down the stairs. It's also not any disruption when you're walking inside of your apartment or standing around inside of your apartment or vacuuming your apartment. The amplified noise is a supernatural aspect with regard to the gang stalkers who are residing in relevant position, and it is as supernatural as this light source that's hovered, and it's still here at 9 a.m. right here on video, like I documented less than 3 days ago, I believe, and the entity's fake sun is still here, like I documented less than 24 hours ago, while the fake sun is on merely this side of the same apartment. Okay, walking in the engineered light is accomplishing the very convenient means of gang stalking under the fake sun and an engineered light. This is POC, and this is documentation showing how your neighbors are obsessed with you, and that's satanic. It is also criminal. 7:29 a.m. This is POC. Tracy Banks exits the apartment with the criminally cooperative acts of the entity that's gang stalking her daughter with her. Tracy Banks. Also, you need to understand this gang stalking conduct is going toward the mental diagnosis of the gang stalkers, including Tracy Banks, who was also engaged in witchcraft, and she is spiritually attacking, engaging in psychological warfare, as also a psychopath who is entirely malicious, seeking to criminally defame in a way that this unintelligent defendant cannot. She's not intelligent enough to merely engage in treacherous conduct and then label someone else. I'm prosecuting her, showing the malice whereby she is both engaging in the state action of what is federal group stalking and monitoring, and she's also simultaneously practicing witchcraft, which is ordinarily intended to result in what is the kidnapping and criminal defamation of an American citizen, when out of the mouth of somebody like Tracy Banks, who was gang stalking with her neighborhood, Woodside Senior Apartments, is being prosecuted along with her. It's a malicious act committed by the entity, the state itself, and it's entirely satanic. Okay, this is not sunlight. The fake sun is on the east side of this living room wall, this front door on this east living room wall on the inside of the apartment. And at the end of the day, this engineer light is still here in nothing other than a different color, orange color, while the fake sun is at the same property, which is the P.O.C. of recognizing the significance of vehicles in the parking lot, of foot pedestrians on the grounds in the engineer light, any method of noise creation, and the entity is doing so while they are monitoring. And that is psychopathic, while human beings are demon-possessed gang stalkers. 7:30 a.m., this is P.O.C. 7:35 a.m., the entity is indeed gang stalking, as is evident in the specific environment, which is what is shown in the video that you're going to see, the screen recording, which is speaking to what's happening at the same time and what's happening at the same time in a different location, in two distinctly different locations, is that which is in defiance of nature. This is the fake sun that is at 7:35 a.m. as you can see here, in perfect alignment with the same sidewalk where it is after 5 p.m. like I documented yesterday, where the entity is engaged in what is bathroom monitoring, as the sex offenders in Unit 41 are surrounding me in the bathroom, gang stalking while in custody of minor children. And this is where the fake sun is positioned along the same sidewalk at the same front door at 5:01 p.m. That's exactly where I'm standing right now. This is the same location, the same patio where the fake sun is 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 10 hours from now. The entity is engaging in the asininity of the documented act and proof of what is stalking by the government in concert with the population, what's happening at an apartment complex in defiance of nature, and also common sense. And it's the very obvious and plain documentation for prosecution and the diagnosis of the gang stalkers. This is, again, the fake sun that's rising on this side, remaining all day long, and setting on this side. And this is an egregious sex offense committed by an entity. All right, the entity is doing so while it is being documented, and you can see through the light activity. Here's my arm that's appearing over there, and I've got a second shadow that's appearing on the gate. This is multiple shadows, which is impossible light activity as well. None of this is sunlight, because you're breaking down the illusion. You're learning about demonic activity, and amongst the demon-possessed, gang stalking is underway by the government. This is where the fake sun is remaining, and this is breaking down the significance of the fake sun, because none of this is sunlight, as you pay attention to the character of the light. Not only that, I'm going to remind you about, this is where Tracy Banks, who is an exceedingly violent sex offender, an incestuous actor, she is a predator who is obsessed with me, and so are all the gang stalkers who are monitoring along with her. And this is the environment where I am documenting that pattern of conduct, where you could see the fake sun at 7:35 a.m. And what I documented at 7:30 a.m. Is speaking to what is a supernatural phenomenon. All right, and so Tracy Banks is exiting the apartment. She is exiting the apartment where she's been gang stalking the entire time she's in the apartment, and she's gang stalking with all the neighbors in units 1 through 144 when you are prosecuting the people of the state who are gang stalking by residents, and they will all be prosecuted under the Violence Against Women Act, where they are violating HUD regulations at this property, where they are all receiving assistance to pay rent, and they are gang stalking with the government that's paying a portion of their rent. That is an entirely contradictory creation of laws and operation of laws where the state is gang stalking, and that's going to be halted. That's going to be dealt with. In addition to being prosecuted for domestic terrorism and psychological torture, they're gang stalking by residents, and it is evident in the specific environment where the very proof of the supernatural is speaking to the purpose of it, with regard to where the fake sun is remaining all day long, is where the specific environment is there for the gang stalking purposes of that very population, who know exactly who is being targeted. They're targeting someone that they know where they are at, what they are doing, and as where they know, in other words, where I'm at and what I am doing, and I am documenting. So that's speaking to an elevated level, an escalated level of psychopaths and obsession when they are now targeting somebody who is prosecuting them, who is not ignorant, who is exposing it, and the stalker is still persisting. That includes the psychopath in this incestuous sex offender, Tracy Banks, who was gang stalking inside of her own apartment. While you need to be aware of, the entity is practicing witchcraft, and so is Tracy Banks. This is a psychopath who intended to project her mental illness onto me, spiritually targeting, spiritually attacking me, while then in the physical being in my presence, gang stalking. And that alone is supposed to result in what is criminal defamation, successful acts of criminal defamation, such as falsely depicting your character, as it will be adjudicated by a gang stalking court that is engaged in the pattern of conduct with such witches like Tracy Banks and the people of the state who are demons gang stalking with her. The entire system is supposed to result in that false depiction of the character, and then the entity is engaging in what is kidnapping. This is the practice of witchcraft, and the entity that is a corrupt government is fully facilitating that satanic means of targeting someone. And this is what is significant when you're looking at the engineer light inside of my apartment on this day at the same time, where the fake sun is outside of my living room window, where I am on the same day at the same time in Los Angeles County, not in San Bernardino County, in Los Angeles, not Ontario, California, and at Alvarado Gardens inside of apartment 1806 North Alvarado Street, apartment number 6, capturing the sunrise along the hillside, not Ontario, California, at Woodside Senior Apartments, anywhere remotely close to Los Angeles, and the location, the address. I am at Woodside Senior Apartments, apartment number 51, facing the direction south where Tracy Banks' front door is, and the fake sun is to the east of the Tracy Banks' front door, and I am at the same time. This video is captured below at 7:21 a.m., ending at 7:30, and as I started this video, it is still there at 7:35 when I'm starting this video. As you can see here, this is the image that I took. So it's the same conditions, 7:36 a.m. when I'm starting this video, which is the exact same time when I'm documenting in the video above on April 10th, 2024 at 7:30 a.m. where, by the way, the entity kept the fake sun. It's not like it was there in the morning and then at another point throughout the day, it moved from being over me at Los Angeles in a specific address. That's not the case. I captured 20 videos on this day in 2024 where the fake sun, that is what highlights the significance of the stalking population, as I already stated, and as I am proving through documentation, which is proving the environment that is not a natural environment, that is a supernatural occurrence, which is happening with regard to identifying a pattern of the people of the state, of the government itself. That pattern is recognized through the maintenance of a supernatural environment where demons, in other words, are stalking as an entity, as a population, as a matter of what is public corruption, where the government is being prosecuted for criminal activity with the civilian population. And it's demon possessed, and they're in a demonic environment, and they are targeting one person together. It is the P.O.C. where the fake sun remains over me for the duration of the day, as I'm juxtaposing what the entity is doing, gang stalking me in Los Angeles, as I'm documenting the fake sun from sunrise until sunset. This is 6:05 p.m. and the entity is gang stalking as I'm documenting even after sunrise. That is likely LAPD gang stalking, criminally interfering with quiet enjoyment, as I capture video at 11 o'clock at night. This is where I'm documenting the sunrise as I'm capturing it at 6:46 a.m. And this video that I'm capturing now, this screen recording, is for purposes of capturing the same exact time, the sunrise at 2 locations, which is, again, impossible, requiring more than one sun, and also requiring what is supernatural on all accounts as well. The multiple suns are all remaining stationary at one location over all of us for the duration of the day, because based on what the entity is doing as I'm documenting it, you are now aware that that's not the sun over you, because it would require more than one sun, more than 2, as I've documented it in Los Angeles at the same time of year, and I'm in Ontario, and I'm also exposing what you are subject to, for example, in Florida, where that would require multiple suns. Again, a supernatural character to the pattern of conduct, which is malicious, which is exposing the psychopathic, the mental state of those who are in fact stalking someone, but they're not stalking individually, they're stalking collectively. They are gang stalking with the government. It's state action. Okay, so the entity is gang stalking, and Tracy Banks is acting with her gang stalking neighbors, the gang stalking people of the state, who are all state actors acting with the government that is engaging in that ongoing criminal pattern of conduct on yet another day, never ceasing to engage in that. And they're also engaging what is the practice of witchcraft. And that proof, the proof of using witchcraft and engaging in psychological warfare, which is the malicious engagement by the entity that knows very well that you are not mentally ill, but is in fact engaging in what is gang stalking for purposes of seeking to drive one to the point of quote unquote mental instability. That's not what's happening here with me, but this is what reasonably happens to the ordinary target individual. That's speaking of malice, and it's speaking to the unethical practices of those in the medical profession when they're not diagnosing mental illness of those that are in similar situations, keeping those against their will when you are not subject or suffering from mental illness. In fact, you are subject to what the entity is doing when they're gang stalking. You're subject to spiritual attacks. Those thoughts don't belong to you. You're being attacked, and it's a spiritual act of violence where demons are engaging in warfare against your mind, and you're told that you are somehow cursed, that you are the one suffering from some mental disease, and that is not the case. And this is, again, the pitfalls of those that are in the medical profession that deny the reality of Christ Jesus, that deny, in other words, the fact that you have what is a spirit within yourself when you're denying the reality of God, the existence of God. This is the denial of the entire spiritual realm, and that is to your demise as well, while the entity does so and then diagnoses you in the flesh and then prescribes you medications, for example, making money and never treating what is the issue, which is spiritual at its core. Okay, this is getting other than, what am I expounding on now? The malicious acts of the government that is gang stalking American citizens. And I'm speaking to what is mandated federal prison, removal from the medical profession, from law enforcement, from the legal profession, where the entity is engaging in the pattern of conduct and is not ignorantly doing so or coincidentally doing so when it's a whole nationwide pattern of conduct, which you are also aware of because of the specific environment. You are not ignorant about the fake sun and how this pattern of conduct is underway. Tracy Banks is nothing other than a high school graduate who has had more than too many connections with corrupt actors who are perfectly capable and willing to engage in targeting an American citizen like myself, who they thought was going to be an easy target. But it turns out that I'm not, and I'm going to expose everyone that is corrupt to the contrary, and I'm also going to speak to what is the prosecution and what is mandated based on the intent of the entity that's targeting and practicing witchcraft for purposes of committing murder and theft and kidnapping. Okay, this is all relevant with regard to the pattern of conduct that is proven through not only the gang stalking tactics of the gang stalkers themselves, but the environment where they're gang stalking. This is where the fake sun is. We're 11 minutes in now, so I'm just going to get to the video. Where the entity kept the fake sun all day long. In Los Angeles, there is no natural environment that includes that the sun could ever be at Woodside Senior Apartments, let alone at any point in the day, let alone for the duration of the day, as you are aware of the fake sun setting here. The fake sun present when my genitalia is being monitored and under surveillance in the bathroom, where sex offenders surround at 7:30 in the morning, hurriedly trying to cross path in order to monitor me and monitor evidence. That's speaking to obsession, not coincidence or ignorance of that fake sun that is there for that very purpose, where Tracy Banks has a whole league of demons who are targeting me with her. And it's all state action.
All right, this is just to document what it is that you are have been exposed to, what you've witnessed, and I have a body of evidence. I mean, hundreds of videos of the entity stalking with light, and I mean that which is occurring in the environment where the entity just places engineered light all over the buildings, and real-time movement of that light, migration of that light based on where it is that I'm located and what I do as I do it. For example, the engineered light that you saw, and this just manifested out of nowhere, it wasn't here a second ago, and you also saw the evidence of that while I was standing in my bedroom, and at 6:38 p.m. I'm talking about the engineered light inside of the Fontana Lewis Library, where you're looking at demons that are stalking in the computer lab and the light sources over the Fontana Lewis Library, where I'm in the Stater Brothers at Hope Boulevard, where I showed you the video yesterday at 4:05 p.m. while the light source is here, and I published video to the Compare the P.O.C. folder where the light source is over there, the Stater Brothers, in the afternoon at 4:05 in the afternoon. As I'm speaking to that's the same Stater Brothers where you're looking at, I've uploaded video documentation of engineered light on the ceiling inside of that grocery store that ties all the people together. This is demons who are stalking in the path. They're doing this inside of the private space. And literally, as I'm capturing this on the floor, this arrives. What I want to speak to is in the same way that you saw the video that I captured at 6:38 p.m. yesterday, which was April 9, 2024. The entity is engaging what is dynamic light that appears, and this is again by hostile demons. This is the reality of the system. This is the reality of the government, the condition of those that are flying these helicopters, the condition of those that are driving ambulances and police vehicles. These are demons that are engaging in what is not coincidental facilitation. These are demons that are acting in concert to place somebody under surveillance, and they are in servitude to Satan himself. Meaning they have the spirit of Satan on them, and they maintain a demonic environment around the one whom they are targeting, and engineered light is key to that. And this is literally the personification of that demonic presence. So what I wanted to capture was how you're literally witnessing the presence, the engineered light, the multiple videos that I captured where you have over the weekend, the entity had the pattern of the blinds all over the ceiling. You're witnessing what is terrorism and the presence of Satan through that light activity. This is also documentation for what the federal court's going to award me with regard to Todd Speaker. He's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. His company, the means of facilitating a sex offense by the government while it's occurring in the private space, while it's occurring.
And while I am speaking to that, the entity is gang stalking via the city of Ontario. And let me give you Paul Leon his due credit. While he is gang stalking by the demons who are coming onto the grounds, gang stalking while they are aware of the fact that I am inside of the apartment and I am documenting in real time. So let me just show you who is going to be removed from office. This is the gang stalker himself, Paul Leon, who is a gang stalking mayor, who is engaged in the pattern of conduct in concert with the civilian population, who is gang stalking altogether. This is Paul Leon and the city of Ontario, including the demons who operate the trash dumpsters, the trucks that are gang stalkers under the fake sun amongst the engineered light, and they are the form for what is amplified audible activity, which is criminally interfering with quiet enjoyment while I am documenting the city of Ontario. And that's exactly what I'm doing when I'm capturing engineered light inside of my apartment in Los Angeles. I'm documenting Paul Leon in the city of Ontario. When I'm documenting the fake sun that is rising outside of my living room window in Los Angeles on the same day at the same time, I'm documenting Paul Leon and the city of Ontario. That is gang stalking through the police department, the fire department, American Medical Response, who's contracted with the city of Ontario, and the Ontario International Airport, where the entity is engaging in the direct engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, and is doing so as a population, the vicarious engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is an egregious sex offense that is committed by AVANATH Capital Management. And Daryl Carter, just like Todd Speaker, is being documented while the entity itself, Woodside Senior Apartments, is the facilitating venue, acting with Paul Leon and the city of Ontario that are gang stalking me in San Bernardino County, at Ontario, California, at what is Woodside Senior Apartments. And the entity is amplifying the sound of the demons that are operating a trash dumpster that's heard inside of the apartment. That's audible activity. Everything is that is heard, everything that is occurring in the engineered environment is for purposes of monitoring, while they know that they're being documented because surveillance is underway on the internet and via communication devices. And while you see this engineered light on my ceiling inside of my bedroom, that's demonic. It has nothing to do with the fake sun that's outside of my living room window. There is no vantage point where sunlight is reaching into the depths of my apartment. It's on my carpet, and it's also above my head inside of my bedroom. That's the light activity that you're looking at inside of my apartment, inside of Tracy Banks' apartment, while she opens the front door, a gang stalker. This is engineered light that's appearing. First of all, you can dissect this. This is engineered light while she opens the door, the crack between the door and the bolts that hold the door onto the wall. This is magnified light that's piercing through that crack while the fake sun is on the east side of the building. This is engineered light that bursts through. It's not sunlight. It's also not sunlight when the sun is on the same day at the same time outside of my living room window. This is how you're able to dissect, and this is common sense. You're breaking down the illusion where the demons are doing nothing but stalking. They're not talking on the phone. They're pacing with audible activity. They're engaging in surveillance using communication devices. It's about me. They're gang stalking. They're not engaging in what is walking around in their apartment. They're stalking in the path, gang stalking by residents with amplified noise. They're demons. They're not living and engaging in what is minding their business. They're gang stalking at a venue, not a private residence. None of them engaging in any constitutionally protected private activity that is disconnected from me. They're gang stalking as an apartment complex with the city while the fake sun remains over this strip of land at the apartment complex from beginning until the end of the day. And you know that because the fake sun is rising outside of my living room window on the same day while I'm documenting it in Los Angeles. This is where Tracy Banks is walking out. This is all engineered light. Okay, appearing on the wall, appearing on the ceiling as she opens and closes the door. This is documented today, April 10, 2025 at 7:30 a.m.
That is indeed a witch who is walking out of the apartment monitoring and doing so, and that's engineer light, and that was orange colored engineer light that appeared above the door.
What's going on with regard to the demons that are gang stalking with her? This is an entity. And they are maintaining the elements of monitoring together. So these are demons that are engaging in what is teamwork. And that's also the entity that's conspiring to gang stalk is going to be prosecuted for the entirety of that conspiracy, acting together. That's the significance of the demons crossing path, walking up and down the stairs under that fake sun. That is not also at the same time outside of my living room window. That's how you know the intent and the absence of any coincidence with regard to the very diligent maintenance of the elements of monitoring. Monitoring is accomplished in this engineered light. And this environment is maliciously engineered for that purpose, where demons are not supposed to be suspected because it's supposed to be the natural environment that you're never even paying attention to. You're never even paying attention to that level of detail when you're merely stating strangers are stalking you and that they're harassing you, and that things such as shadows are floating all around you. You're supposed to be hallucinating. You're supposed to be a paranoid. You're supposed to be proven by criminal defamation. Okay, while they're also practicing witchcraft and attacking you in the spirit. Very, very malicious conduct by the government. Okay, this is the entity that is indeed gang stalking. So this is what you're mindful of when you're looking at this light activity in my bedroom in Los Angeles. It's appearing above my head. That's not sunlight. It's the same light that's all outside. None of this is sunlight. It's all engineered light.
The engineered light, the multiple videos that I captured where you have, over the weekend, the entity had the pattern of the blinds all over the ceiling. You're witnessing what is palpable.
Sorry.
Terrorism and the presence of Satan through that light activity. This is also documentation for what the federal court's going to award me with regard to Todd Speaker. He's going to be prosecuted as a sex offender. His company, the means of facilitating a sex offense by the government while it's occurring in the private space. While it's occurring as I'm talking about engineered light, that's terrorism. That's what I captured on video yesterday. The entity engaging in an act of literally the demonic engineered light to swiping all across, moving all, that's terrorizing somebody. And the prosecution of the people of the state, including Todd Speaker, they're going to pay for that. You drain the pockets of those criminally facilitating the government's ability to even monitor and provide, for example.
So this light activity that's documented at all hours inside of my apartment in Los Angeles is another iteration. This is the ability for you to understand when I'm saying none of this is sunlight that's outside all over everything. It's not the sun, neither is that sunlight. It's the creation of an environment where demons are engaging in what is a stage where they are able to engage in, or they surmise that they would be able to. The purpose of it is for that the stage where they are all standing on a stage together, they are acting. And it's very poor acting. All they're doing is pacing. These are psychopaths who are doing nothing but pacing all day long in engineered light, in weird, creepy light. It's not sunlight, nor is that the sun. And you can see it when you see things such as engineered light inside on the ceiling, moving about on my ceilings like I'm documenting in the morning. And you know that that's not sunlight while the fake sun is rising outside of Tracy Banks' apartment in Ontario, California. And this light activity is inside of my bedroom in Los Angeles. And the fake sun is outside of my living room window on the same day at the same time in 2024. This is breaking down the demonic system of federal group stalking and monitoring. And the demons themselves, the gang stalkers, are going to be diagnosed and federally prosecuted.
A business whereby presence is facilitated, a business whereby third-party group stalkers that work for that business are facilitating, a business whereby third-party group stalkers are living on the property facilitating that.
That's LYNDA Reyes, the gang stalking employees, and the residents themselves at Woodside Senior Apartments, the same exact pattern of conduct, the same exact maintenance of a specific environment that is a supernatural phenomenon, speaking to the malice of the entity, the public entity that is gang stalking in concert with the population.
That. And this is speaking to that ongoing presence, and I want to make sure that I speak to, you're witnessing the stalking conduct through the light. Okay, and like I said, everything that I'm saying, the demon possessed, which is a whole lot of people, all the addresses, that's just a sample of those on the hillside. They're not separate from what you're looking at appearing on my ceiling. Okay, having nothing to do with the blinds, having nothing, the light sources out there. You saw the light activity that's supposedly suggesting the sun, and the entity provides an ongoing wealth of documentation admitting the fact that they're targeting. This is an outright admission. Okay, this is a demon-possessed entity that's stalking in helicopters. They are maintaining constructive presence. They are always stalking and pursuing and remaining where the engineer light is present. And the entity that is stalking in the specific environment has no warrant and has no lawful basis to engage in terrorizing an American citizen. And that's what the LAPD, such as the Ontario Police Department, the Fontana Police Department, are documented engaging in. The Montclair Police Department, while I'm in the city of Montclair, the light source is documented remaining over me as a matter of documentation from 8:30 in the morning till after 6 p.m. Literally, the light source over my head, the light source setting as I remain at Ramona and Holt Boulevard, and the entity was stalking in a helicopter. While I'm inside of that Starbucks at Ramona and Holt, the entity engaging in dynamic engineered light, just like you see inside of my apartment. And while the people of the state are surrounding and the state is maintaining presence, it's the ongoing consistent pattern of conduct. They're engaging in what is criminal presence in an engineered environment, which is supernaturally occurring. And this is evidence of it. This is what I mean by I don't have to tell any tales. I don't have to tell any fables. You're looking at the light activity. It's not me. I don't have any magic wand. I have no control over this. Matter of fact, I will hold up my hand so you can see this is the light activity. It's light that is somehow supernaturally being aimed through. That's an act of the demonic. Okay? And I don't mean that there's some demon outside of the window going abracadabra. Demon possession is an invisible condition. I'm letting you know about the criminal activity that those of this condition in this country are committing, and they include the government. The government is stalking and pursuing somebody while surrounding and maintaining presence in an entirely demonic environment. That lets you know what's wrong with them. They're demons. The federal government shall relieve them of their positions promptly. Okay, and get them the mental examination, the mental attention that they need. They're dangerous psychopaths who are documented, caught in the act, and literally engaging in more corroborating evidence to that end of the fact that you are stalking and pursuing someone in an environment which is conducive to what is criminal monitoring and group stalking. Group stalking is conduct that demons engage in. Demons engage in surrounding someone, targeting someone, and this demonic activity is being committed by a government, and you can surround the government with what is the absence of any lawful grounds to do so. That's the prosecution of a government that's engaged in what is surveillance, and that's how you get the P.O.C. It is currently, by the way, 7:36 a.m. and what I wanted to show you is how the creeping, and you've seen even more, the entity engaging in this creeping conduct. It is direct evidence of what the world will understand. Terrorism by a demon-possessed entity that's stalking you and terrorizing you. You will be literally compensated, and then the entity will literally serve time in federal prison for what I am documenting, what they are just generously providing, terrorizing an American citizen. They are going to federal prison for this.
All
okay,
right,
it's
so
going to be submitted in
it's
concert with my ongoing maintenance.
I'm going to interfere with the video. It's 15 minutes long, and it's published on the YouTube channel, and it's also published on the YouTube channel, excuse me, is referred to as the P.O.C. And the P.O.C. website is at thisisthepoc.wordpress.com, and it would be published under the date that you see. I don't edit or anything with regard to titles. It is literally evidence, and that's why I don't do that as well, because it's evidence and I'm not touching it. I record it, and the time is also literally the evidence itself. That's another reason why I don't edit it. It's relevant with regard to my location, the time of day, everything, and the evidence is all speaking for itself. All I'm doing is documenting where the entity is doing what it's doing and the time that it's doing it. And that's going to prosecute the government, and the government is the people of the state. Who you see gang stalking, crossing path, and I want you to see the fake sun that is outside of my living room window. So I'm going to go ahead and I want you to see, though, this is engineered light that's coding all of this isn't the sun, and you're breaking down the whole environment. The significance of having the engineered light. The sun that's outside of Tracy Banks' apartment is not in any position to create sunlight over these apartment buildings in Los Angeles. And when I do this juxtaposition of crime scenes, it provides you further evidence to help you understand what it means by this is a whole engineered environment. Not only is that not the sun, and the documentation of the duration of that fake sun sitting at one building helps you understand that, and then you're getting to, yes, you do see it, but this is not the natural environment. You're being introduced to the spiritual realm, the demonic itself, and the illusion that the demonic provides that this is the sun. It's not the sun. It's sitting there all day long, and this is also not sunlight, not normal sunlight. This is engineered light, and the significance of it being there is a bunch of people are monitoring, and these people are demon possessed. This is serving for the formula for prosecution by the government that's engaging in surveillance, and it is satanic. And the government has, whether it's satanic or not, it is relevant for prosecution of the government because it's satanic. That's going to color the conduct with the level of terrorism, but it's terrorism under all accounts. The government is stalking an American citizen and has no warrant or probable cause to keep them under surveillance, to engage in the expenditure of resources on such criminal activity, and to engage in public corruption in doing so, i.e. gang stalking. This is not a sunlight that's coating the building outside. You are looking at what is the specific environment where engineered light is coating the building, and you're breaking down the whole crime scene as you understand the elaborate pattern of conduct, which includes literally the crime scene itself when you are identifying the evidence of gang stalking. And then the demons are engaging in that behavior. You're not coincidentally creating any method of noise using your dog. You're a gang stalking demon. Period. And they're diligently maintaining those elements while Tracy Banks walks out of the apartment today, walks to her vehicle, license 9HUZ740, and she is gang stalking with her gang stalking neighbors. She is a sex offender, and she is engaged in witchcraft. She's a witch that's monitoring me also in the spirit. She is indeed obsessed with me, as you hear her go into what is literally a psychopathic fit while she engages in criminal defamation on April 7, 2025 via podcast, which I documented. These gang stalking demons are all speaking as one in the same way that they're gang stalking me as one, and they're all going to be prosecuted as one, and that all of that which they engaged in as one entity is going to be put against each one of them when they are individually held accountable in federal court, and individually subject to what are diagnosis for their severe mental illness in gang stalking another person. Psychopaths engage in that. And that's being modest. That's being conservative with regard to my terms. Severely mentally unstable people who have actual mental illness conditions that need to be diagnosed. And it is that which is characterized, generally speaking, as psychopathic. The entirety of the pattern of conduct. All right, so this is the engineered light that's coating everything, and it is not the product of sunlight. While you can see the sun here, there's no sunlight that's going to be covering the buildings on Los Angeles, California. And the sun is not both here and in the same position west of Ontario, California, in Los Angeles, outside, along over the hillside, in perfect alignment with my living room window at the same time, creating sunlight in the way that you see it inside of my apartment, including inside of my bedroom and the depths of my apartment, far from my living room window, above my head on the ceiling in my bedroom. None of that is sunlight. None of that is not the sun, and that would require more than one sun. This is speaking to what has nothing to do with sunlight or the sun. It's the identification of the crime scene where I am in fact being gang stalked, and the demon possessed in particular are the ones who are the criminals gang stalking. All I'm doing is letting you know about the spiritual condition. This is what demons do while they're engaging in the criminal activity, holding them accountable in the physical in court, federal group stalking and monitoring, and psychological torture. And it's the work of Satan. And the work of Satan is creating what is the framework, the material, the support for identifying severe mental instability that also poses a national security threat. Okay, so I want you to see the fake sun.
By the way, the entity was stopped.
That is
engineered light is moving across on my car, which fills
bedroom in, outside my living room window in Los Angeles. So 1 second. There we go.
As I open the front door, this is iteration of the same conduct. The government's placing under surveillance. Engineered light is significant. Demons cross path in engineered light. So demons surround me, living all around, traveling all around. Remember, walls and whatnot are not an obstruction. They're crossing path on Lobdell, on Effie, on Avalon. They're crossing path. They remain in the path while they live in these houses in relevant position. So while they are aiming engineered light, demons are crossing paths with me as I'm in motion in engineered light. This is the demonic system in operation. In addition, the entities engaging in surveillance in the sky space using commercial airline planes and helicopters. Demons are crossing paths with me in the engineered light. This is occurring in the private space. This is a prosecution of the government, keeping you under surveillance in concert with the people, absent any warrant or probable cause. There is no lawful basis for the government to do this. There's also no lawful basis for the government to do this in concert with the people. And the entity is going to be prosecuted for engaging in what is recognized terrorism in this country, placing an American citizen illegally under surveillance, and also doing so through demonic ritualistic methods. All right, it is currently 7:43 a.m. This is P.O.C. This is where the light source remains. You kind of look at where the light source is.
All right, this is in perfect alignment with me outside of my living room window in Los Angeles at the same time. Remember, the video I captured on this day in 2024 starts at 7:30 and ends at 7:45 a.m. It is currently 8:07 a.m. This is a screen recording, and I did start it at approximately 7:36 a.m. I believe I started it at the time I captured this video, yeah, at around 7:36 a.m. But we are still at the same time where the entity's keeping the fake sun in Los Angeles on this day, which I captured in over 18 videos. Nonetheless, the entity is gang stalking right now. The demons in unit number 55, gang stalking with, again, Tracy Banks, is fully engaged in what is obsessively consumed with me. She is not only gang stalking, this is a psychopath who decided to take her clothes off and pace around inside of the kitchen while she is aware she's engaged in surveillance on the internet, via communication devices. This is a psychopath who's exhibiting severe mental instability by not only gang stalking someone, gang stalking her daughter, and also gang stalking by taking her clothes off and then pacing around in the kitchen. She's doing so in engineered light, and she's doing so while she is a person that practices witchcraft, and she is spiritually attacking me while then trying to combine that with what is criminal defamation. And this is a psychopath that's going to be diagnosed and federally prosecuted. She's gang stalking with her neighbors who are engaged in that ongoing 24-hour surveillance system along with her. And they are, again, licensed 5WUB715. She's gang stalking right now at what is 8:07 a.m. as I change operations on my phone, go to different images, and the demon in unit number 55 is stalking with amplified noise. This is intentional conduct. It's also demonic, and it's also extremely mentally unstable behavior. While you are gang stalking by residents, license 5WB715 is indeed going to a mental asylum. Gang stalking with the demon, unit number 52. Gang stalking with the demon in number 52. All of these are demons that are gang stalking by residents over the age of 55 years old, because this is the 55 plus senior citizen property where you're looking at no difference with regard to AVANATH gang stalking in the same way that Speaker Companies is gang stalking, proven beyond a reasonable doubt, by the way, in the specific environment. And the entity is doing so while I am showing you here what is the fake sun in perfect alignment with me in Ontario, and what is in perfect alignment with me in Los Angeles, which is, again, impossible to ever be the case, as you are documenting the precise maintenance in the path with me for all hours of the day, no matter where I go, including as I live and remain in Los Angeles at Alvarado Gardens at one apartment complex, and live and remain at Woodside Senior Apartments, remaining inside of the apartment building, going to, at the very most, the parking lot and back, and you'll see the fake sun for the duration of the day. All right, this is the entity that is indeed engaging in that P.O.C. stalking and monitoring the evidence in real time, speaking to, again, the mentally unstable gang stalkers who are engaging in a pattern of conduct and doing so in a manner that is speaking to that obsessive pattern of conduct. And the entity is gang stalking in a manner, let me show you if I have this on video. This is a screen recording capturing. Yeah, this is the entity that's gang stalking with minor children. Here's the fake sun that's on the opposite side of the same building at 4:45 p.m. And while I'm inside of this same apartment. The fake sun doesn't go anywhere. And neither do the gang stalkers, okay? This entire property is gang stalking. All 144 units are filled with the entity that is engaged in the P.O.C., where the fake sun is remaining over me at the apartment complex for purposes of gang stalking by the city of Ontario. And that's the pattern of conduct that's underway by the entity. And gang stalking with amplified noise is the outward demonstration of mental instability, while demon-possessed gang stalkers are monitoring where they live. And the entire entity in units 33 through 64 are sharing in the criminal engagement and the elements of monitoring, like they demonstrate on video, where Tracy Banks exits the apartment, excuse me, and her gang stalking neighbors are sharing in the elements of monitoring. Crossing path, the barking dog, pacing up and down, and let me get that license plate on in this video as well.
Walks around. This is all activity creation under the fake sun. It's still here at 9 o'clock. Remember, at 9 o'clock, it's here. This is P.O.C. monitoring. She's going to prison. This is awful activity. While the neighbors are being stalking together. That's P.O.C. Same pattern of conduct. Crossing path under the fake sun. And this has nothing to do with the engineer light where they're monitoring together. The engineer light is on the inside of the apartment, and the fake sun is outside of the apartment. This demon that's rushing by and walking upstairs is gang stalking together. These are the demons.
And they're also gang stalking inside of the apartments themselves on an ongoing basis. While I'm inside, my genitalia is exposed in the bathroom. While I'm walking around from the living room to the kitchen, while I do any and everything, make any most minute movement, the demon possessed are monitoring your physical movement. This is psychological torture. This is psychopathic on their part. They will be diagnosed for their criminal engagement in federal group stalking and monitoring, which is government conduct. And the proof of that is in the specific environment where the government is also engaging in the outward demonstration of demon possession, gang stalking itself, having no warrant or probable cause to do so directly nor vicariously. Okay, it is the inhumane and criminal pattern of conduct that the demon possessed are doing so, including via while I'm capturing this video at 8:12 a.m. right now. The demon is in perfect alignment with me over the couch, stalking with amplified noise. This is somebody that's over 55, does not sleep, just like Tracy Banks doesn't. She doesn't sleep either. They never abandon the path. They never abandon stalking with activity. They never abandon stalking with light. And they're doing so while they are monitoring the evidence that's being created in real time and exhibiting severe mental instability in doing so. That is a psychopath that is anticipating a prosecution and is so obsessed with me, is still monitoring while that is the process that they are being subject to. And it's exposing Paul Leon, it's exposing Mike Lorenz, it's exposing Mike Gherkin, the demon-possessed gang stalkers, Alan D. Wapner, who are government officials that are gang stalking as you apply names to public officials who are gang stalking within the city of Ontario, using the resources of the municipality, and gang stalking with the unemployed at Woodside Senior Apartments. Okay, severe mental instability is exposed while the entity is gang stalking. I want to get this third party's license plate while they're crossing path, in the same way that the entity is accomplishing gang stalking under that fake sun that remains 10 hours later.
That don't sleep, that's Unit 56. Using the dogs as audible activity, gang stalking with Tracy. These are demons that are acting in concert together. These are the demons that create, amplify. You hear how there was no sound when that demon walked upstairs, but inside of the apartment I'm documenting amplified audible activity on an ongoing basis. Nobody's leaving any potholes. Nobody's causing any earthquakes when I'm looking at them walking upstairs, and in the same way inside of their apartments, they are not capable of creating amplified noise such as earthquake-like, like they're have the bowling alleys inside of their apartment, like they're cracking the walls and the ceilings.
Neither does sunlight create what is light fanning across the cabinets. Neither does sunlight appear on the inside of the apartment on the ceiling. Neither does sunlight shoot horizontally when the sun is above the building. And by the way, that sun is still documented. It's 7, 8, 9, 10, 3 hours, 4 hours, 5 hours from now, where I'm documenting the engineered light that remains inside of this apartment, piercing through the peephole, appearing on the kitchen wall, appearing on the west living room wall above the television, traveling across that wall onto the north living room wall, onto the ceiling, into the kitchen. None of that is sunlight either. Neither is the natural audible activity of what the demons are doing that are gang stalking by residents. And it's the criminal interference with quiet enjoyment that AVANATH is going to be civilly and criminally prosecuted for. Daryl J. Carter, the corrupt CEO and chairman, who was a gang stalker, who is criminally facilitating this pattern of conduct that they will be held liable for.
When they're walking around, that's called amplified noise, and these are demons, as clearly as you see this fake sun.
In perfect alignment outside of the living room window in Los Angeles at the same time. So I want to get this demon's license plate that's pacing, walking up and down the stairs while appearing to be the dog walker. This is a demon that wants to appear productive. This is what Satan wants to do, like they're doing something that has nothing to do with you. Everything that they're doing has everything to do with me. The fake sun and the engineered light confirms what is malicious, what is psychopathic and obsessive. For purposes of stalking as a population, it's accomplished in a specific environment.
While Unit 41 is doing the same thing that this demon is doing, the different face, same conduct, same sidewalk where the fake sun's on this side of the building after 5 p.m. like you saw when the demons are doing this, stalking in the path, when my panties are down in the bathroom, and they're stalking in the path by sitting on the sidewalk.
And this is what I'm referencing before I get this demon's license plate. This is what the sex offenders are doing. Which is what they're doing right now. They're still gang stalking. And this is what you're doing when you're monitoring somebody in the bathroom. You're sitting in perfect alignment with them in the bathroom while amplified noise, which is happening in the living room right now in the morning, where a bunch of elderly people are not sleeping and where they never sleep, in the specific environment where they're gang stalking. Where do these old geezers get this energy? Because they're demon possessed. That's where they get that energy. All right, to stay awake and stalk in the path. This is stalking in the path when bathroom monitoring is underway, which is what I'm documenting, while the fake son is remaining present at the same exact location, where the government is stalking in the path amongst that phenomenon, monitoring evidence, and the entity is engaging in what is monitoring me, engaging in surveillance and amplified noise creation in the bathroom, where your genitalia is the subject of surveillance. This is what I'm referencing in this video right now, where the entity is gang stalking at 7 in the morning. Okay, that's what I'm referencing while this demon is
9LQA2N.
I'm gonna get his license plate.
Sidewalk where the fake son is still here, monitoring like the demons are doing together. That's license 9LQA2N8. Gang stalking with
One more time, let me get that license plate one more time.
fake son is still here, monitoring like the demons are doing together. That's license 9LQA2N8.
That third party is engaged in criminal obstruction of justice, gang stalking with the people. He is a part of the population that comes onto the grounds, gang stalking with AVANATH, gang stalking with AVANATH's employees, gang stalking with the state of California that is acting via the city of Ontario that's maintaining this system of surveillance as I remain subject to it, being gang stalked at a facilitating venue that is an apartment complex that is no private property, the entity has deprived me of my constitutional right to being inside of a private residence where the government has no warrant or probable cause. No Fourth Amendment authority whatsoever to gang stalk someone and also do it vicariously through the people of the state. He is being documented engaging in psychological torture, acting with impunity, engaged in federal stalking, and also engaged in what is still gang stalking me with the intent to obstruct justice while I'm documenting him, and he remains a part of the entity while the gang stalking neighbors are monitoring me, which he participated in the specific environment with knowledge and intent. All right, I want to make sure that that's clear. That's why I included that license plate. This is where the entity is engaged in this P.O.C. and it is currently, by the way, where the entity is keeping the fake son in the same position where it's going to be present after 6 p.m. It's currently 8:18 a.m. and the fake son remains here as I've already documented for the duration of the day. And this is the pattern of conduct that I am always documenting while I am capturing that P.O.C. You see here, where I am capturing that pattern of conduct as I am getting on an ongoing daily basis. This is what you have here in the middle of the day at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. The entity is maintaining the fake son as I'm documenting it at 2:30 in the afternoon. This is the same building where the fake son's not going anywhere. The entity is engaging in what is an implausible and asinine and unrealistic and scientifically impossible illusion of the natural environment. The natural environment looks like and behaves nothing like this, and the sun that is remaining over one apartment building all day long in alignment to me is speaking to the impossibility that you would ever have the sun over you in Florida as one example. None of this is sunlight either when the entity is gang stalking with light, as is evident throughout Tracy Banks' apartment, where engineer light just travels across her walls and her ceilings while the entity is maintaining criminal interference with quiet enjoyment, monitoring all day long. Okay, 2 hours from now, which is what I documented, at 9:08 a.m., this is where the fake sun is still on the east side of the same apartment. Just so you can see here what we already documented. So the fake sun is at 7:34, like I documented today, down here at this side of the same tree, a landmark, and this is where it is 2 hours later, an hour and a half later, at the same tree. And by the way, as you see, at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, like I documented at April 8th, 2025, where Ontario PD is gang stalking, the fake sun is in the same position while it's a brighter color yellow and it's over the top of my head while I'm standing on this same exact sidewalk. This same exact sidewalk is where Ontario PD is flying over my head. That's the significance of stalking in the path, because that's what AVANATH employee, the gang stalking mental health patient in unit number 41 is engaging in with the entire entity in a specific environment that is easily, readily, and obviously present for purposes of prosecution and mental diagnosis. This is P.O.C. It is currently 8:20 a.m. at Woodside Senior Apartment. Okay, just like the demon is doing at all hours, like I'm documenting again after 9 p.m. last night, the psychopath, this is a severely mentally unstable elderly female in unit number 55 who is engaging in the psychopathic behavior of pacing, and it is identified through the amplified noise, that is the, in other words, impossible audible activity of an old woman walking around in her apartment, and it creates the amplified noise of the ceiling like it's going, like the ceiling is going to crack apart, and she's going to fall through, and she's cracking the walls, while you have what is pacing. That's called relevant positioning. That's also psychopathic pacing behavior. When you're stalking also, that's also, you're stalking your neighbor as well. It gets weirder and weirder with regard to the behavior and the purpose of the demon that is monitoring in unit 55, license 5WUB71. 1015. And she is pacing again. It's 8:24 a.m. as I'm capturing video evidence, documenting her. This is the state. That's what she represents. And she is a state actor that is obsessively showing her obsession with me. And that is relevant to her mental instability. That is going to be material referring to the threat that she poses to herself and to the public, while she is relentlessly and obsessively consumed with me in her monitoring and literally her presence in her apartment. It is focused on me, which is entirely demented and very disturbing. It's also criminal, and which is life-threatening to myself, another person. This is the malice of gang stalking by this third party who is inside of Unit 55. She's gang stalking with the rest of the demons that are over 55, sharing in this criminal engagement of what is amplified noise at this early hour, where none of these old people are sleeping. None of them are ever sleeping, while this demon in Unit 55 in particular is the unpersuasive. It's as unpersuasive as the sun remaining over one apartment building, and that's supposed to be the sun, and no one's ever supposed to notice that. It is as unpersuasive as an elderly person or any person being the means of what is cracking ceilings and walls inside of the apartment. And it's also occurring with simultaneity to what the demons are hostile to, what they are aware of is underway, which is documentation about their stalking behaviors, about their monitoring behaviors. All right. So the entity is engaging in this while the documentation is being captured, and it's continuing in engineered light under the fake sun, and doing so in concert with the demon in unit number 52. There's a couple, at least two people in that apartment, a male and a female, and also the demon who was gang stalking in the video captured today in unit number 56 with two dogs, which is the means whereby she's engaging in audible activity creation, stalking in the path and doing so, monitoring me with Tracy Banks, who exits the apartment while the fake sun is at the same time outside of my living room window on the same day at the same time in Los Angeles. And that level of detail with regard to my thorough documentation is providing no reasonable basis to question exactly what it is proven. The entity is engaging in what is diligent maintenance of elements of monitoring, noise by any means, presence by any means, which is nothing but stalking, unprecedented manner of stalking by the government at that. All right. The demon is stalking in unit number 55, knowing exactly where I'm at and knowing what I'm doing, just like she is, just like they all are, when my panties are down and they are obsessively consumed, salivating, masturbating, engaging in what is surveillance and voyeurism, while I'm indisposed, engaged in private activity in the bathroom. This is the sex offense that carries out for the entirety of the day and night, 24 hours a day. And this is a demon that's over 55 at 8 o'clock in the morning, pacing around like a deluded psychopath, in order to monitor somebody who has already secured their prosecution. And that's what all of them are doing in units 33 through 64 together while they're sharing the elements of monitoring. That's why the fake sun is over them while they're stalking. Okay, they are all going to be prosecuted for this impunity that I'm documenting, and it is shared by the third party whose license plate is recited on this podcast, because I converted the video onto the podcast, which you just listened to. He is being documented for all of that. You're not gang stalking at the property and then you're going on and you're merely getting that prosecution. You're being prosecuted for obstruction of justice. You're being prosecuted for federal stalking. You're being prosecuted for your mentally ill state while gang stalking in the first place. All of that, the totality of the crime is put on everybody that is engaging in that POC, and everybody is the people of the state of California. All right, it is currently, again, 8:27 a.m. where AVANATH is gang stalking via its employees. AVANATH is gang stalking as a company itself. Companies are engaged in stalking American citizens where your property, your employees, where you are in any way facilitating it. And that is, again, creating what are means of justice where the entity is engaged in all manner of malicious engagement of the elements of monitoring. And so AVANATH, the company itself, is being prosecuted for psychological torture, for the sex offense of gang stalking, and for gang stalking with the intent to obstruct justice as well. While its gang stalking residents, who are its co-defendant, are gang stalking inside of the apartments themselves with the state. All right, and that is relevant with regard to the amplified audible noise, which is interfering with quiet enjoyment, which is a federal offense, where apartment complexes are gang stalking residents and occupants like Alvarado Gardens, speaker companies, as I documented it then, and I'm subject to it now at Woodside Senior Apartments, where AVANATH Capital Management, Woodside Senior Apartments, is engaging in that same act of terrorism and psychological torture with impunity. It's 8:28 a.m. This is P.O.C. All right, it is still Thursday, April 10th, 2025. It's currently 7:14 p.m. This is documentation of the ongoing pattern of conduct that I remain subject to. And as I have shown literally through the pattern of conduct that the entity is engaging in, and the fact that it is demonic, it is also the practice of witchcraft, it is exposing what is the creation of illusions that surround all of us, as you are aware of and cannot deny the reality of the spiritual realm. The component to gang stalking is the psychological warfare. That is, the same demons that are gang stalking are also engaging in spiritually attacking. And this is the defeated, albeit obsessive, endeavor of the demons, including Tracy Banks. And so, for example, this demon, this is Tracy Banks, is literally a mentally imbalanced person who is demon possessed, and she is gang stalking. And this is the same condition of the entity that's engaging in the same pattern of conduct. But I want to be clear, as I'm speaking of Tracy Banks in particular, this is nothing other than the entity. And this is a person within that entity whose name I know, who has a relationship insofar as I identify this person as being someone that's in my family. But this is, again, somebody that's fully engaged in targeting me, and which is entirely demented. Not only in the way in which you're gang stalking, but the fact that you're doing it in the first place and exploiting a personal relationship with the target individual, myself, and doing so, and doing it in reliance on that relationship. And the entity that is engaging in this pattern of conduct is fully engaged in what is practicing witchcraft. And so this is the entity that is incapable of actually controlling me, incapable of actually controlling the decisions that I am aware of and cognizant of, and will continuously maintain full and voluntary exercise of. The entity Satan himself cannot possess my vessel like the demon possessed are. They are gang stalking, and they are doing so in service of Satan, and it's a prosecution for criminal conduct. But Satan can't possess my vessel. Satan also cannot control my mind. Satan can't change my mind. Neither can any of his imps, and that includes Tracy Banks, who you heard on April 7th literally having a meltdown when this demon, who does not sleep, and stated that she was trying to sleep and that I was being loud, while she is obsessively stalking and monitoring my every physical movement, monitoring my genitalia in the bathroom, in whatever bathroom, because I'm documenting how she's gang stalking me while she is inside of her own apartment. She's gang stalking me wherever it is that I go. It's an entity wide pattern of conduct, and she remains a part of the entity that is obsessed with me. Was gang stalking me in Los Angeles with the LAPD, gang stalking me while obsessively engaged in what is masturbating and engaging in sexual activity, while she would obsessively watch me nude on camera that she placed inside of my home, unbeknownst to me. This is in every regard someone who had a meltdown that I documented on podcast, while under the guise of the unpersuasive guise, because she's saying it in engineered light. She's saying it at the apartment where the fake sun rises and sets. She's saying it at the apartment where the police are gang stalking, the fire department, the sheriff's department, the population is gang stalking. And this demon unintelligently exposes herself again when Satan opens his mouth, and doing so via Tracy Banks, having a meltdown, which is documented conduct. It's the pattern of conduct where harassment was documented, and criminal defamation and threats of criminal summoning was documented on the night of April 7th, because the demon is fearful of the fact that I'm speaking to what she is jealous of. This psychopath is actually jealous of the fact that I am, quote unquote, in the demon's mind, important enough to be gang stalked. Only psychopaths deem it to be something to be envious of, but this is why they're gang stalking in the first place. This is why they are obsessed, because Satan is consumed with the one whom he cannot have. Satan cannot have me. So under all accounts, I've spoken to and I've documented for purposes of prosecution, but I've also given context. This is demonic activity. This is the work of Satan, and it is spiritual conduct that is dark. Right, and the demon possessed, that includes Tracy Banks, literally had a meltdown. This demon never takes a nap. She does not sleep. She is still monitoring when she claims to be going to work every day. She is spiritually stalking and monitoring in the spirit. She is obsessed with me, sexually obsessed with me, and is also actually obsessed with any and everything that I do and how I do it. While this demon has, for the entirety of my life, has been deceived by Satan, tormented by demons who have convinced her to not only target me, but convinced her that she could be me, that she could replace me. This person is over 60 years old and doesn't even look like me, okay? And no one over 60 looks like anybody that is, she's substantially older than me, and she is under no circumstances anybody that even behaves like me, doesn't even have the intellectual capacity, has no such training, has not even any sort of appetite or desire to be intellectual, or to be, or something, conduct herself as in anything other than like a ghetto low-life person. This is who Tracy Banks is. She is a thug. She is a hustler. She's a liar. She's a fraud. All right. This is not name calling. This is just speaking to, again, how Satan has deceived this person. And this person had a meltdown the other night. And this fraud, by gang stalking, this fraud engaged in what is harassment, claiming that I'm interrupting her sleep. When she doesn't sleep, she's gang stalking me, monitoring me in the spirit and in relevant position, gang stalking on a 24-hour basis. Very psychotic, what you heard on this podcast. Okay, this is somebody that is obsessed with me and has sought out to be sexually engaged with any and every person that she thought that I was interested in or would be interested in me. And how does she know this? How does she gain this information? Because she's been stalking me my entire life. Okay, so this is how you have sexual activity, a marriage, cult activity, cult membership with Jason Isaac Fields, somebody that she has had tremendous and extensive sexual relations with and an extensive relationship with, again, unbeknownst to me. And while they were together and still are gang stalking me and also still spiritually attacking me together. So this is, again, demons who are deceived. The entity is incapable of secretly targeting me. The entity is incapable of trying to secretly target in order to murder me. The entity is incapable of engaging in any harm that it would ever happen, which is not going to happen. But the entity has lost insofar as the entity that is targeting me is now exposed as the one that's responsible for any and everything that has happened in all of my life circumstances while the government has been targeting me at work and where I live through the very people of the state, including the demons who are related to me. And by the way, relevant context is that they're all in this witch coven together, this sex cult, and they've all had sex with each other. People that I've never introduced, like Shanita Ramai McLean having sex with Jason Isaac Fields. These are two people that I never introduced to each other. They're gang stalking. This is how their sexual activity, this sex cult, this witchcraft practice, which is demonic activity, and they're all gang stalking together. This is how their sexual activity becomes relevant, while you have what are strangers, ostensibly strangers, that are somehow related, entangled with each other in ways that are unbeknownst to me, the one who was being targeted by all of them together. Okay, it does become relevant, the fact that Shanita Ramai McLean is a duplicitous, backstabbing whore who's had sex with a male friend, again, obviously not a real friend, because he's a duplicitous, backstabbing whore as well, having sex with my mother, having sex with fake friends of mine, and having sex with, the Lord knows who else that I formerly associated with. I don't associate with any of these nymphomaniacs who are demon possessed and are still gang stalking me and spiritually attacking me. They are listening to the spirit of Satan, these demons that are tormenting them, and they do not get sleep. And so since, again, I cannot be demon possessed, since the entity cannot secretly target me in the way that I've surrounded them with evidence regarding the criminal conduct that they are still to date engaging in, the entity is resorting to, the demons are resorting to nothing other than harassment. Nothing other than withholding justice that I'm fully entitled to, that the government has no hand in providing. And merely withholding it is nothing other than exposing that same corrupt government to prosecution, which I will be enforcing my rights for. All right. So the entity is engaging what is spiritually attacking. Tracy Banks does not sleep. She is obsessively stalking in the spirit. She practices witchcraft. So does her demon-possessed husband, Jason Isaac Fields, who is also subject to demon possession, tormented by demonic spirits who have him deceived, thinking that I would ever, even as I clearly use English words that are clearly understood, still listening to demonic spirits, where this person is gang stalking me and spiritually attacking me, harassing me, as though that's going to result in some sort of voluntary, loving relationship with me. It will never happen. This is somebody that is mentally ill. That is how human beings who are demon possessed are affected in the natural. They do behave in manners that are entirely demented. This obsession is irrational on the part of Jason Isaac Fields. This obsession is irrational on the part of Tracy Banks. The gang stalking by the entity is entirely unsuccessful and defeated and irrational, even while strangers who don't know you are gang stalking you. That's the irrational behavior of those who are mentally ill. The entity is engaging in what is ongoing harassment, spiritually attacking, and then engaging in what is the documented meltdown by this demon, Tracy Banks, who is in fact never sleeping. She is obsessively relying on unsuccessful witchcraft tactics while she is spiritually attacking in ways that are never going to work, while she is gang stalking, and that whole entire criminal endeavor is fully exposed. It's not delaying the fact, or excuse me, it's not changing the fact that she is going to a mental asylum for the rest of her life. That's where she's going to expire. And all of the witchcraft tactics that are not effective on me are going to ricochet right back onto her and everyone else that's sharing in this witchcraft practices, which is the state of California, the demon possessed. Okay, death spells, the love spells, they work on each other. This is how you have the nymphomaniacs engaging in sex rituals with each other. They practice witchcraft upon, and that works on them. It doesn't work on a child of God. Jason Isaac Fields, who was demon possessed, relying on hoping in demonic tactics that are never going to work. Love spells do not work on me. Death spells do not work on me. Harassing me in the spirit is not going to change my mind. I will never be one that is an imp like them, demon possessed, and so in order that you can control my mind and control my decision making. I remain someone who is documenting the state, that remains engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. That entity that's gang stalking me still, in other words, is still spiritually attacking in equally unsuccessful ways. And the entity is obsessively consumed with me. And these are the mentally ill who will never have any voluntary entrance in my life. And so I want to make sure that that is also clear. The entity that is merely harassing me in the spirit and harassing me in relevant position, gang stalking, is the one that would be guilty of nothing other than kidnapping and rape. For example, Jason Isaac Fields. There will never be any voluntary relationship with the psychopath. This is somebody that is spiritually obsessed with monitoring me, somebody that is gang stalking me in relevant position, and would be committing nothing other than kidnapping and rape, because there will never be any voluntary relationship with this person. There will never be any voluntary sexual or romantic relationship with this person that has had oral sex with my mother, that has engaged in marriage with my mother, that has engaged in sexual activity with my mother. This is somebody that is delusional while listening to the demons that are tormenting him while he can't sleep and is interrupting my sleep in the middle of the night while he's monitoring me. These demons are entirely defeated, and all they have resorted to now is merely withholding justice, which will entitle me to recovery. I'm going to prosecute the government for that. And not only that, the entity is engaging what is ongoing demonic acts, monitoring me in the spirit in ways that will never be successful. None of the spell work, none of the voodoo, none of the sex rituals, no voodoo doll, none of that. Hoodoo voodoo is going to work on me. It's not changing my mind. It's not going to affect my decision making. I remain someone that will exercise my rights, as I am fully aware of them, under the Constitution, and the rights that I have in Christ Jesus, who is not forcing me to have any relationship at any level, professional or romantic or otherwise, with anyone that I have documented, with anybody that is demon possessed, with anybody that has ever tried to kill me, with anybody that has conspired against me, with anyone that is still listening to demons telling them that I want them, when I'm clearly stating with English words that everyone can understand that I do not and I will not. It would be nothing other than kidnapping and rape. The delusional demons continue to pose an unlawful threat. The entity is gang stalking. The entity is also harassing. And when you hear psychopaths like Tracy Banks have a meltdown while acts of desperation, such as harassment and criminal acts of threats and intimidation, which is, again, legally analyzing it. I'm not actually intimidated by a demon who was stalking me, a demon who wishes they had the spiritual authority that I have in Christ. It's God-given. Demons who are spiritually inferior to me and actually inferior while you're stalking me. You're not scary to me. You don't have any actual authority under the law, nor do you have any rights, nor will you actually control my decision-making here on earth, nor in the spirit. The demons are merely engaging what is harassment because they're hostile, because they cannot overcome what is the blood of Christ that covers me, period. These are sore losers. And I want to make sure that that is public information, because it is a basis for prosecuting the government that is engaging in the satanic targeting system of federal group stalking and monitoring. The entity that is a sore loser is, again, engaging in what is psychological warfare, doing so as an obsessed entity that is still gang stalking, and it is an entirely defeated effort. When you have exposed at any level the government that seeks to secretly target you, that's the purpose of gang stalking, because they're trying to create what is an illusion whereby you're making up the fact that you're being targeted in the first place. And so you're never supposed to be able to prove it. And that's the whole purpose of gang stalking. The entity has lost that. The evidence has long proven that not only is it not a figment of my imagination, it is a phenomenon with regard to what anyone could witness in the environment while you are in fact being targeted. And I have provided a whole nomenclature and a whole policy whereby you can prosecute it. That's also not existing solely in the imagination of someone who is entirely capable of being targeted, where the entity is engaging in what is surveillance throughout the United States. The entity has utterly lost, has been utterly defeated. And this is actually spiritual warfare. But the entity has been so thoroughly judged, they're being prosecuted in the natural. You're not being prosecuted for things that are existing in the imagination of somebody that's not actually being gang stalked. Okay, so the entity has lost that, and they lost it a long time ago. The entity that is corrupt, that's engaged in public corruption, has merely withheld justice, which is speaking to an unlawful threat that the government will compensate for, that the government will be liable for. Okay, not only that, these are demons who in the spirit are fully defeated and are merely resorting to just Tracy Banks, for example, is addicted to practicing witchcraft. She's addicted to engaging in spiritual attacks that are not effective. She's addicted. She's addicted to it. This is, again, bondage. She is tormented by demonic spirits that are lying to her while she is rapidly, her mind state is rapidly dissolving. She is losing it in real time. And what you heard on April 7, 2025 is a real life example of it. But you're witnessing it while the entity is gang stalking on an ongoing basis. It is happening in plain view what the entity is doing of a criminal nature and what is also of a demonic nature. The entity has been entirely defeated. That is never the purpose or the desire of the entity that is gang stalking. So the entity is engaging in nothing other than behaving like sore losers. And this pettiness is tremendously criminal with regard to government conduct. And with regard to the prosecution of the entity, yes, here on earth, but also a judgment that demons are going to, the demon possessed, the entity, people like Jason Isaac Fields, that have no future prospect with me under any circumstances. He's not going to kidnap me. He will not be raping me. I'm just speaking, that's what it would require for there to ever be any sort of relationship. And that's not a relationship, obviously. Those are criminal acts of violence. That does not make a relationship. Okay, only someone who is being deceived by demons that are still controlling that person is engaging in the behavior that Jason Isaac Fields is. This person is gang stalking and is still spiritually attacking and is doing so in concert with Tracy Banks. And has told him, is deceived, thinking that he is distinct from demons like Tracy Banks, and he is not. He's not. He is targeting the same. He's harassing the same. He's gang stalking the same. He's withholding justice for delusional purposes. Delusional. This person has no, Tracy Banks is not going to escape the mental asylum that she was going to be locked in for the rest of her life. Jason Isaac Fields has no future prospects with me ever. And that was the case years ago when I discarded him from my life on June 2nd, 2018. When at that point in time, he thought that it was entertaining to target me. He thought that it was fun. He thought that he was going to benefit. He has learned otherwise and is now behaving like a delusional psychopath who is still obsessively gang stalking me and is engaging in what is thinking that they're having. This is somebody that thinks that they're controlling the circumstances in my life, thinks that they're controlling the outcome. This person is delusional. They're listening to demons. Judgment is coming. Judgment is inevitable. And judgment is also going to occur with regard to a prosecution, a comprehensive prosecution. And all the ways in which the government, as I am describing demonic activity and gang stalking that I remain subject to, the government shall be liable for it. It's all state action. All right. It is. I want to make sure that that is clear. The entity is engaging in this, and this is relevant to the ways in which the entity is not controlling. The entity does not, and that includes people like delusional people who are listening to the tormenting spirits that keep him up at night while he's harassing me while I sleep sound like a baby. And these demons are harassing me because they can't sleep because these demons torment them. The demons that they're listening to that make them think that using their witchcraft is going to be successful tomorrow, even though it hasn't been successful at all. They've been deceived. The demons that are telling them that withholding justice is going to change my mind, and that engaging what is harming and abusing me and gang stalking me is going to cause me to change my mind, and I will acquiesce and I will succumb to their demands with regard to voluntarily being involved with them. That's never going to happen either. It would be kidnapping and rape, period. And that's not going to happen either. It is 7:34 p.m. on April 10, 2025, and this is the P.O.C. All right, the delusional psychopaths gang stalking at 10:39 p.m. at a senior citizen complex in the specific environment where no other demons, including Tracy Banks, are asleep either. And the demon in Unit 55, license plate 5WUB715, is pacing, and it's amplified noise, which is how I know that this demon is awake and is stalking my physical movement, which is what psychopaths do. This demon is doing so in concert with all the rest of the co-defendants in all 144 units who are being simultaneously documented in order to be prosecuted. And the demons in units 33 to 64 are going to prison and mental asylums, and their mental illness, which is proven by their criminal engagement in the pattern of conduct, is relevant while their co-defendants engage in the elements of monitoring, engage in stalking with light, engage in stalking with relevant positioning, engage in amplified audible activity creation. The mental illness is shared by the entity that's gang stalking. This is AVANATH that's criminally interfering with quiet enjoyment as well at 10:40 p.m. inside of the apartment where Tracy Banks is residing, gang stalking with her co-defendant in unit number 55, who's directly above me where I'm positioned on the couch, where the elderly unemployed demon in 55 does not sleep, nor does she work, nor does she abandon relevant positioning. It is currently, again, 10:40 p.m. This is P.O.C. All right, 10:43 p.m. The demons are monitoring while inside of the private space in concert with Tracy Banks, who is not sleeping as well, while the entity is using the television, a communication device, and interrupting with the picture and the sound. As I go to the kitchen, the television stops working as I walk back to the living room. If you can hear it in the background, that's when the television resumes operation. That's monitoring my physical movement in concert with the demons who are pacing around like psychopaths. The entity is gang stalking, and I've shown you on video what it looks like when all of a neighborhood is focused and obsessed with you. And this is what it's like inside of an apartment, inside of your home, when everyone is also in that environment. You're also capable to deduce the fact that in a neighborhood, a government is obsessed with you while you're being monitored inside of whatever space you're remaining in. And it is psychotic. It's demonic. It's also psychotic. It's currently 10:44 p.m. We're at the City of Ontario. That's the interruption with the antenna. The operation of the television is not a malfunction. It's also not a malfunction in engineered light. It's also not a malfunction when it's occurring with simultaneity to what you do as you do it, particularly while I am doing documentation in order to prosecute the mentally ill who are engaging in such very demented ways of stalking someone with regard to attention to what they're physically doing. That's demonic. It's very sick also that people are engaging in that behavior, and the government has no legitimate interest in doing that. It's a sex offense, and AVANATH is going to be prosecuted for that as well. It's psychological torture, and it's also gang stalking of an occupant inside of an apartment building. It is 10:45 p.m. This is P.O.C.